Hi, welcome to vForum Online. Vincent here, I'm VCDX271. I'm the NSX specialist at VMware. Today I'm going to talk about Introduction to Container Networking and Security with NSX-T Data Center. So before I begin, let's talk about cloud-native applications in the enterprise. Right? So with cloud-native applications being deployed in enterprise, the use of containers start to rise. Right? So we are looking at about over 300 million of containers being deployed in 2018, and that looks to grow about 100% year on year to over 2 billion of containers in 2021. Right? CNCF look at the challenges faced by enterprise in terms of containers. Security, networking, and storage remains the top challenges. So today I'm going to deep dive into networking and security challenges faced by the enterprise when they deploy a container networking solution. So let me start out with a diagram over here. Right? So you could have a couple of hosts over here hosting your containers. It could be hypervisor or bare metal. And with this, you actually need to set up networking for containers. Right? So let's assume that we have host IP A over here and using port 8001, and host IP B over here and using port 8002. So if the containers need to communicate, they actually need to use NAT, and you need to manage port mappings. So that remains a lot of challenges for your IT teams to manage, right? So I'll just list down the challenges over here. You have to use NAT, and you have to manage port mappings, right? So with NAT, it also presents some other challenges, especially when you want to route out to the physical network, right, where you want to do firewalling to, let's say, for example, a physical database, right? And with this, you actually cannot use the native IP address of your containers, and therefore you cannot be granular in terms of your firewall policies, right? So security, firewalling remains another challenges. With NAT, it also presents other challenges like visibility, right? Whether it's in terms of logs or your monitoring tools, you can't actually see the actual IP address of the containers, right? So you get poor visibility as your challenges. Next, let's say, for example, you need ingress to your applications, right? And that's where you need physical load balancer. Physical load balancer presents numerous challenges, such as if you're thinking about scaling out, as well as the performance, right? So hardware load balancer. Last but not least, if you're thinking about deploying multiple container as a service or platform as a service platform, such as Pivotal Cloud Foundry or native Kubernetes, or even PKS, or even OpenShift. You don't have APIs for these different container platforms to talk to, right? And they use different networking stack. For example, Pivotal Cloud Foundry will use Cloud Foundry network policies, right? You have Kubernetes using its own network policies, as well as you'll be using Flannel for layer 2 networking and Calico. So you have multiple networking solutions to manage, right? So I will list down here as no consistent tooling for network and security. So now let's take a look at how NSX-T data centers helps to address some of these challenges. So same thing, I'm going to draw a couple of diagrams over here, right? You could have a couple of hosts. And with NSX, you get to deploy overlay networking on top of your virtual switch, right? And your containers will be running on this consistent networking across your environment, right? Now, because of cloud container network interface, you get native IP address for each of your container, right? So you could have IP A, IP B, IP C for separate containers, right? So you get unique IP address per container, right? So therefore, you don't need to manage NAT as well as port mappings if your containers need to communicate with each other. So no more port mappings. Since you do not have NAT, right, you get native IP address, and let's say, for example, like before, if you need to do any firewalling to a physical database, right, you get to use the native IP address, and you get granular level of application level or container level, right? So micro-segmentation for your containers, as well as you can do that for your VMs as well. For visibility, since now you are using native IP address, you get to see in terms of logs the actual IP address of the containers, right? So you get better visibility over here. And with tools like TraceFlow in NSX-T, you can actually pick two containers and you'll map out the flow for you, right? So you get tooling like TraceFlow, which helps in your monitoring and troubleshooting in terms of day 2 perspective. NSX-T also comes with a software-based load balancer, and therefore, if you need to scale out for your containers, whether is it in terms of load balancing or providing ingress to your applications, you get a scalable load balancer, right? So you have software load balancer. Last but not least, right, with NSX-T, we provide this API. So let's say, for example, if you have Pivotal Cloud Foundry or Kubernetes, PKS, as well as OpenShift, right? NSX-T provide these APIs to interface with different containers as a service or platform as a service platform, right? So you get a single platform for networking and security across multiple pairs or CAS. So to summarize, I present to you about the statistics about cloud-native applications as well as containers being deployed in the enterprise, as well as present some of the challenges faced by your IT teams managing a container networking and security. Presented to you also the value and benefits NSX-T data centers can bring forward, right? So in short, NSX-T data center is the networking and security platform for your cloud-native applications. Thank you for watching vForum Online, and I hope that you enjoy the rest of this series.